Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Naila Qeysha. In this video, I will explain about linguistics and its relevance to English language teaching or ELT. First, I will explain what is linguistics in a simple and clear way. Then, I will focus more deeply on one specific branch of linguistics, which is psycholinguistics. Anyway, are you curious about psycholinguistic material? Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Honestly, this topic is very important. Why? Because it helps us understand about how language works in human mind, especially in the process of learning and teaching English. So, what is linguistics? Linguistics is the scientific study of language. It studies how language is formed, how it is used, and how it is understood by humans. Language here does not only mean English. It includes all human language such as Indonesian, Japanese, Sundanese, and many others. Linguistics has several main branches. First is phonology. Phonology studies sounds in language. For example, why sound pat in pat is different from in bat. Second, morphology. Morphology studies word formation. For example, the word unhappiness consists of unhappiness. Third, syntax. Syntax studies sentence structure. For example, why we say she eats rice, not she rice eats. Fourth, semantics. Semantics is about meaning. For example, the difference between cheap and inexpensive. And the last one is pragmatics, which studies meaning in context. For example, when someone says, "It's not here," it can mean a request to turn on the fan. All of these branches help teachers understand how language works. But today, I will focus on psycholinguistics. As a premise, I will explain more deeply about psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics is the study of the relationship between language and the human mind. It focuses on humans understand, produce, and acquire language. This field combines linguistics, psychology, and neurology, language, and the brain. In psycholinguistics, language is closely related to the brain. Language functions are mainly controlled by the left hemisphere of the brain, which handles logic and language structure. Meanwhile, the right hemisphere is responsible for emotion, intonation, and social context. There are also specific areas in the brain. Broca areas is responsible for speech production, and Wernicke's area is responsible for language comprehension, sleep, and tongue. One interesting phenomenon in psycholinguistics is slip of the tongue. For example, someone wants to say, "I'm going to say something," but accidentally says, "I'm going to smoke something." This happens because the brain processes language very fast and sometimes error occurs. Next, I will talk about language processing. Language processing includes comprehension and production. In comprehension, we listen, recognize words, understand grammar, and interpret meaning. In production, we start from ideas, then choose words, and finally speak them clearly. First, language acquisition, or L1, is the language learned naturally from infancy, often called the mother tongue. Children go through stages such as cooing, babbling, one-word stage, and two-word stage. According to Kansi, humans are born with an inborn ability to learn language, called the language acquisition device. Second, language acquisition L2. This is learning a language after the first language. For example, Indonesian students learning English. Factors such as age, motivation, exposure, and language transfer affect how well someone learns a second language. And next, this is about language disorders. Psycholinguistics also studies language disorders such as aphasia. For example, brocaaphasia causes difficulty in speaking, while workness aphasia causes difficulty in understanding language. Other disorders include dyslexia and speech disorders. So, just a little behind the scenes before we continue. Today, I record this video at CW Cafe on Jalan Jakarta, Malang. Honestly, this place is super comfy. The atmosphere is nice. The space feels cozy. And the thing I love the most is the lighting. It's really good for video recording. And it makes the video look much better on camera. Anyway, I edit this video using CapCut. As you can see, visuals turn out quite well. However, there are also a few challenges. This place is quite crowded and it was a bit difficult to find a comfortable seat. Unfortunately, I also forgot to bring my wireless microphones, so I had to record the audio directly. But it's okay, because with today's advances editing tools, the audio can still be improved during the editing process. I do apologize, guys, if the audio quality is not perfect, since this video was recorded outdoors, not in quiet room or at home. Thank you for understanding. And now let's continue with the discussion. Psycholinguistics is very important in English language teaching or ELT. It helps teachers understand how students process language, why errors happen, and how to teach more effectively. By understanding the brain and language, teachers can design better teaching strategies and support students' learning process. These examples show how language processing happens in real communication, not only in theory. Psycholinguistics is not only a theory, it is very useful in English classroom. For example, when students make grammatical mistakes, teachers should understand that errors are a natural part of language acquisition. According to psycholinguistics, mistakes show that learners are actively processing and learning the language. This is happen because these sounds do not exist in their first language. By understanding psycholinguistics, teachers can be more patient and choose better teaching strategies instead of simply correcting students all the time. Another important point in psycholinguistics is fluency development. Many students feel frustrated because they understand English but cannot speak fluently, like me, maybe. Psycholinguistics explain that speaking requires complex process in the brain, including planning, grammar selection, and articulation. This is why listening and reading skills often develop faster than speaking skills. With enough exposure and practice, the brain will the brain will gradually process language more automatically, and fluency will improve over time. And yeah, based on this explanation, and yeah, based on these explanations, we can see that psycholinguistics helps us understand how language is processed, learned, and used by humans. This understanding is very important, especially in English language teaching. To conclude, psycholinguistics explains how language operates in human mind. It helps us understand language learning, language use, and language disorders. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it is useful and informative. Bye! See you next time!